Today on the channel, from the legends of Lucha Libre and Boss Fight, we've got Taya Valkyrie and Juventud Guerrera.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here. Welcome back to the channel for another Boss Fight unboxing and review. Of course, we unboxed Penta and Rey Fénix way back in the day. It seems like a year ago. I don't know what it was. What is time anymore? But today, we got the first round of their Legends of Lucha Libre editions, long awaited. We've been anticipating these for about a year, and they are finally here. And of course, we got Juventud Guerrera, and we've got Taya Valkyrie. So very interesting discussion with these guys. Very interesting packaging. First time around the sun with these, as we have not unboxed this style of figure. And these are more akin to their basic style figures, so we'll see how that goes. But of course, we're going to do this unboxing like we do all the other unboxings on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to see where it goes from there. So first, as usual, ladies first on the channel, and we'll do Taya Valkyrie. Very shame we didn't get a Mattel Taya Valkyrie. I have to think she was maybe about a month away from getting at least a basic, possibly an elite. Of course, she is the wife of John Morrison, Johnny Nitro, Johnny Mundo. You can go on for days with his names. But very cool to get a figure of her finally, as she has really been around, a mainstay of female wrestling, at least in the United States and Mexico, of course, for the last quite a few years. But unfortunately, we didn't get a Mattel, but Boss Fight coming through, Boss Fight giving us one, and this is the first female from Boss Fight that we have gotten so far. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And of course, we'll compare these to some other figures as well, and the glamour shots, all that fun stuff that we normally do. But let's look at the package first. There's old Taya Valkyrie. Nice big glamour shot of her looking really good. I always wanted to see her and Natty Neidhart wrestle. I always thought they would do a really good match together. I don't think they ever had a match, unfortunately. So I'm guessing that might never, ever happen. You got Legends of Lucha Libre logo up here. Of course, that is Boss Fight Studio right down there. They make these figures. They make a lot of different figures as well. Check out their website, see what they have to offer. Nice carding here. Very kind of akin to a basic. It's not the big box style. It's more the bubble on card. So very cool with these here right there. You got Taya in the package. Looks pretty good. We'll investigate that further when we get it out. Taya Valkyrie right there on the side. Same thing on the other side right here. And then the back of the package, we got a lot of stuff going on. Of course, we got the cross sell down below. We're unboxing these two. We'll unbox Penta and Rey Fénix shortly on the channel, so stay tuned for that one. Make sure you subscribe. What are you waiting for? Do that. But then you got a glamour shot of the figure, glamour shot of the person, a little tail of the tape action, Boss Fight, her name, all that fun stuff. Let's read the back. Let's see what it says back here. This is the Fanaticos edition. And we did recently hear that MLW is getting figures made by Boss Fight. So you got to think there's going to be some reuse and some of that kind of stuff. But it looks like we're going to have a lot more wrestling figures in a whole new line. We might even get the modern day Von Erichs. We'll see if that happens as well. And it says collect them all. Taya Valkyrie. Stats. Height. 5'7". Weight. Nobody's business. From Victoria, BC, Canada. Debuted 2010. Finishing move. The Road to Valhalla. Oh, there it is. The Road to Valhalla. So, going to pop this bad girl open. So, let's see what's got going on in here. Trying to find, I've never opened one of these. What's the best way? I guess the best way is just to dig in. And that's what we're going to do. Pull her off the card. Get a little of that. And there it is. There's the old packaging there. See you later. Goodbye. We're off to the races. Now we got the plastic prison. Little skinny plastic prison. Like I said, once again, much like a Mattel Basic is how this one feels to me. Pull it out, over the top, see you later up high, there it goes, see you later up top. All right, Taya Valkyrie, no accessories, nothing else with the figure, and that's not all bad. You know, sometimes it's a golden age for collectors we take for granted, but we get a million hands, you get a million accessories, all this stuff, and sometimes you really don't need that. A lot of it goes to a bag, never to be used. And Taya Valkyrie, the only accessory I'd really like for her is maybe a nice entrance jacket, and that's where some of the third parties, companies I'm sure could help out with that. But I'm not against these hands and stuff. She does not have a fisted hand. I will say I would like a fisted hand, but For what this is, I'm okay with this. I don't need a ton of bells and whistles. Like I said, the jacket, the only thing I would have maybe liked for sure. But let's break this figure down. It feels very good in hand. Feels very solid. Doesn't feel hollow. It feels like a Mattel would feel. More closer to an Elite than a Basic, actually, which is nice. And for the price point, being about double the price of a Basic, maybe even a little more than that, it should feel a little bit better. But looking at the head first, of course, we got the nice locks of Taya Valkyrie, very blonde color here. I like the added attention to detail with the shaved on the sides. You know, she shaves a lot of that going on, but looks really good. A little bit orange-ish, and peachish lipstick on her. She is fairly pale, but she isn't the most tan wrestler ever, so I think this looks okay. But a little bit tail there. Does the head pop off? And the head pops off very easily, and it pops off a little differently than a traditional Mattel, where you might see the ball joint in there. It's kind of the opposite version here, and I think we saw that with Penta and Rey Fenix back in the day as well from Boss Fight. So we do have that. So there is some customization if you want to mix some heads around and things like that. Articulation, the head pops off. The head is movable. Side to side is pretty good. Up and down is pretty good. Not tons of articulation, but enough to be dangerous and more than you need, I would say. Shoulders all around, nice tight shoulders on this one. Single jointed elbows, but they are pinless elbows. So to me, I prefer that. I know I'm not aligned with everybody on that. A lot of people would rather have double jointed than pinless. I'm the other way around. I like the clean. I'm going to display them, so I just want a clean look to them. And the pins, to me, take my eyes away from the figure, especially these days where we get so many pinless figures. But that does have a single jointed elbows. And then you have the wrist. Wrist is not a whole lot. A little bit around, but no side to side, no up and down, any of that. She does have her little forearm. I don't know, what do you call those, sweatbands? We'll call them sweatbands. She has those. Those are removable. If you take the hand off, those will pull off, so it isn't sculpted in or anything. Then we get down to her top here. We do get a high waist articulation, a very high waist articulation, kind of the side to side going on. I just noticed on the back here, she does have a backpack hole. So she's like an old school G.I. Joe. We're going to throw a backpack in her, but she does have that going on. So I'm not sure if there is plans for accessories that go in. Obviously, a lot of luchadors. Boss Fight's going to make a lot of luchadors. A lot of those guys wear capes and stuff. Maybe that's a plug-in spot for capes, and it's just kind of going to be around everywhere. But that is a little unsightly for her. Maybe if she had that entrance garb, you could put that in there. Maybe that's what that was made for. I'm not exactly sure. She does have her nice top here. Of course, this looks like a Taya Valkyrie wear that she would do. Down to the furry boots that are very iconic for her, of course, the white knee pads and stuff. And then, like I said, the outfit looks like something she would wear. Two different orange colors with a little bit of white piping. Nice sculpted details on here where Mattel, maybe you might just get this painted on. You have a nice sculpt here around, so there's some sculpting to it, which is really nice. You get down to the knees. It looks like single jointed knees. You do have pins in the joints down here. I don't hate the knee pads being a part of the sculpt. You know, sometimes like Mattel and AEW, there'll be a separate piece you can take on or off. I don't hate this. I'm okay with this. Some people might not like it, but for me, I'm okay. I really do like the fur boots. That it looks to be an extra piece as well. You could, if you really wanted to, probably get that off, but why would you? Down to the white shoes, of course, the ankle articulation. A little bit up and down, a little side to side, but it is limited a bit by her boots, but it seems good enough. You can get a full-on split out of her, so you get very good articulation on this one. It'll be interesting. Does she fit on a Ringside Collectible stand? As I always say, the Mattel stand's the golden standard for many figures. Use discount code Kyle, save 10% on that one. Doesn't look like she's going to fit a very small pinhole down here. So I'm not sure what stands to use for these. If somebody knows, somebody has a watch out, somebody can recommend a good smaller stand, let me know. I wish they would have went with the universal stand design that a lot of Hasbro and some of the other stuff goes with, but not in the cards here. But all in all, a very good figure. I like this Taya Valkyrie. She looks good. She feels good in hand. Having a little comparison action, kind of size comparison. Grabbed one of the all-time great female wrestlers of all time, of course, Mandy Rose. So you can see how they kind of scale against each other. Of course, probably the most fabulous women's wrestler of the last few years, and one that I see every single day. You guys watch my figure hunts. You know I see her all the time. You've got old Rio. Her name was Rio. She danced across the stand. She danced across our hearts. Never change, never leave. You know how that goes, but she's here at the table there. And then, quite possibly the greatest female wrestler of all time, from Jax for a little scale, Maurice, of course. So we got the Maurice Jax figure here. Scale-wise, I am not a huge scale snob. There's a lot of scale snobs out there, and I get it, I understand it. But I come from the olden days where LJNs and Hasbros, most things were in the same size. So this is close enough to be dangerous. I think they said she was 5'7", so I think she's a little taller than Rio in real life, and you can kind of see that's not quite apples to apples, but I think it's close enough to be dangerous. It doesn't upset my apple cart, and maybe, you know, there's some people out there, though, if it doesn't scale, they don't want anything to do with it. I get that too, but I'll have some Glamour Shot comparisons you can kind of look at, but I don't think the scale is 100% perfect here, but it's not all that bad either. So that's the verdict on Taya Valkyrie. Now we got to turn our attention to the old Hoovy Juice, Juventud Guerrera. All right, next up from Boss Fight Studios, we got old Hoovy Juice. We got old Juventud himself. So let's take out the packaging. We'll unbox him, and then we'll compare him to one of his greatest rivals back in the day, Rey Mysterio, as we all remember those feuds, especially in WCW. But you got Hoovy there with the Glamour Shot. You got the packaging here, of course, very similar to Taya Valkyrie, names, Boss Fight, all that kind of fun stuff going on. Got his name on both sides of the plastic bubble. Once again, very similar to a Mattel Basic. There's a Glamour Shot of the action figure. There's that same pumped up Hoovy there. Of course, the cross-sell will be unboxing all these guys. And then the tail of the tape there for old Hoovy Juice. So let's see what it says about our old pal Juventud. 5'5", 165 pounds from Mexico City, Mexico. Beautiful this time of year. Debuted 1992. Finishing move, the Frog Splash Dragon Suplex. So old Juventud here looks good. Now, for someone like me, and maybe you guys are like me, this is definitely not the most iconic version of Juventud. I could see some people even saying the maskless version, and we even got those from Jax back in the day. But the different mask is, this isn't the mask I think of when I think of old Juventud. I think of Juventud and Chris Jericho, Juventud and Rey Mysterio, a lot of luchador battles in WCW, and I think that's where most in the United States go to with Juventud. Of course, he had a storied career in Mexico. I think he might even still wrestle for all I know. But when I see this, I don't know if I'm smart enough to realize, if I didn't see this packaging and I just saw this figure, that I could tell you, oh, that's Juventud, and maybe I'm wrong. And he might have possibly had this attire in ECW when he first came in. I don't know if that's the case, though. I mean, for me, the luchadors in ECW, Psychosis and Rey Mysterio, were the ones that got a lot of publicity, but I'm pretty sure Juventud was there for a very short cup of coffee. Once again, correct me if I'm wrong. But not the most iconic version of Juventud. But let's see, let's dig in, let's see what's going on, see what all the fuss is about with the old juice, the old Hoovy Juice. And there he is. See you later. Up high, goodbye. And then, of course, the plastic prison of Juventud. So there it is. Let's pull him out. Let's see what's going on. See you later. Goodbye. First thing I want to do, I think they said she was 5'7". He's 5'5". I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it said she was 5'5", but to me, they look identical height-wise. The exact same height. So are they both 5'5", or are they both 5'7"? Which is which? We know Juventud was 5'5". I'd have to look back on Taya, but it is what it is. But getting him out of the package here, he feels, once again, feels really good in hand. I like the feel of Juventud. He's got a good feel to him. Feels better and heavier and more sturdy than a Mattel Basic, maybe. Very, very tight joints on him, though. I will say that. Holy cow, those are some tight elbows, which isn't a bad thing, is not a bad thing. Looking at the head, of course, you got that flowing black hair of Juventud, a very tight mask on him. The hard part with masked wrestlers, and I love a good masked wrestler, you guys know that, but not a lot of emotion here. There's no emotion in his smile or anything like that. It's just a plain, almost looks alien-like with those eyes, but a good head sculpt here for not the most iconic Juventud, like I said earlier. Articulation should be the exact same, but man, are these joints tight. These are 10 times tighter than Taya Valkyrie, which, once again, not a terrible thing. But we do have tight joints. You got the shoulder, single jointed elbow, once again, all pinless here. The difference for her is she had a midsection cut to turn, where he's got more of a ball joint down there at the bottom, and you get some crazy articulation, at least on the side to side. Front and back as well. If you do stand him a little bit weird and you swivel him, it does almost look like he's got a beer gut going on, which is kind of strange, but you got to just make sure that's pushed back and lined up in there. But once again, very, very tight joints. Then you have no thigh cuts going on here. Of course, he can do a splits. He can get a lot of articulation right there. Once again, same as Taya, you got the same type articulation of the knees, the pin, the single joint, and the knee pads built into the sculpt. Boot cut on this one, there it is right there, and then ankle articulation. feels a little bit more free on this one as you're not hindered by the boots like Taya Valkyrie. But still, not too bad for old Juvi here. Juvi, very iconic. I would love to see more of a WCW era Juvi, but I'm not sure the legalities of that, I guess. No fisted hands on either of these figures. That's a miss. You guys know my stance on fists. I'm guessing no ringside stand. Yeah, no ringside stand for him either. He does have the nice kick pads. Nice attention to detail wrapping around the boot there. I do like that. Nice decor on the tights here. Very plain Jane with the red, but a nice little purple kind of fire-esque thing. And then he does have his belt, because you got to keep those pants up somehow. So he does have a nice belt with some red against the black and then the silver buckle right there. But all in all, it's not my favorite Juvi. Actually, it could be my favorite Juvi, just not what I'm looking for as far as mask. I want the WCW mask. Hopefully one day that does come out. We'll see what more Juventude figures come. But an interesting one, and we'll stick him next to Taya Valkyrie once again so you can kind of see. Very close in height. But how about Rey Mysterio? We'll go throwback WCW Rey Mysterio figure. Of course, the Halloween Havoc versus Eddie Guerrero. I don't know. Is Juvi really 5'7"? I feel like that seems like a hair tall. Ray's got to be about 5'3", 5'4", maybe 5'5", 5'6". I don't know. But scale-wise, I would say they're pretty much the same height. Ray is just a hair taller with his Elite here. So you can scale. Once again, very, very close. Probably not perfect as far as scale goes. If you're wanting to scale with your Mattel figures, though, that's the other thing. Do they want them to scale with Mattel? Do they want to be their own size thing? That's what they could say. And I see that. Hey, we're our own line. We're our own people. But I think you're going to get a lot of crossover into your line if you go along with the big dog Mattel, or even to a lesser degree Jazzwares if you scale with those. But we can see that. And then I did grab a Mattel basic, one of a million basic Rey Mysterios. And this one towers over the Juvi. Basics are basics after all, but this one towers over it. So I would have to think the Elite's much more in line than the regular basic here, the Silver Surfer basic. But still, I do like these, and I will continue purchasing these. I'm very excited for the Conan, but the Conan, for me here, is much like the Juventude. It's not the most iconic Conan. It's not the Conan I think of, but I will still take it. Lady Maravella, I'm not super familiar with her work. I've seen a few matches. I've seen her around. I know the name. I just, I'm not really familiar with her like I am Taya Valkyrie. But they're going to keep building out this sets. A lot more luchadors to come, which is very cool. But the really cool thing is the MLW pickup. We'll get some of these molds and things transitioned into there. Maybe get some Gangrels of the world. Maybe an Enzo. Who knows what we might end up getting out of that partnership. But the future is pretty bright for Boss Fight Studios in this scale. I'm anxious to see what else they can do. And we'll have to all stay tuned. And the best way to stay tuned is checking out weekly purchases and checking out my channel, which, subscribe. Hit the old notification bell, like the video, all that kind of fun stuff, as we'll have a lot more Boss Fight Studio talk in the months and years, hopefully, to come. So make sure you subscribe. Also, follow along on the Patreon where you get this video, many other videos much, much earlier, and then a bonus content, exclusive content, giveaways, a lot going on the Patreon, and best of all, of course, you support the channel. Hit me up on social media, follow along over there, SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson, and then ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. So for Taya Valkyrie and Juvi Juice, I'm Kyle. I will see you guys all real soon.